I'm Amanda Schultz, and I'm proud to be introducing the Centennial for Racial Justice Covenant Conversation series. Today, we will be joined by mom and daughter team Sara Metz and Anika Metz, as well as Trever and Racial Konzem, as they discuss the question of why name white people in our Racial Reconciling Covenant. If you have any questions, you're welcome to come to our Zoom sessions every Monday night, or to send your questions into the team. And you are also invited to join us for a candlelight vigil honoring the life of George Floyd. This Tuesday, May 25th, marks the 1-year anniversary of his death, and we want to take the time to honor his life and honor his legacy as a church. So you're welcome to join us either at the St. Anthony Park campus parking lot at 6:30 p.m. or the Roseville campus parking lot at 7:30 p.m. We hope to see you there. Please remember to practice social distancing, wear your masks, and attend in the spirit but not in person if you are feeling ill. Thank you.
I was reading the Racial Reconciling Covenant. What do you think about this statement? Racism and racial inequity is a specific problem in our society, created and maintained for the benefit of white people.
Ooh, that's a statement the racial justice team spent a lot of time on. It's a tricky one. It's a tough one, especially for white bodies, but it's true.
What do you think about the ending that says our society, created and maintained for the benefit of white people, is more impactful and needs to be included?
I think it needs to be included because it is accurate and it also is specific, and it calls for accountability. It calls for not being able to deflect, and it really speaks to the heart of the issue, which is this notion of whiteness. Dr. Monica Williams talks about whiteness as a forced group membership that originated by oppressing people of color. And whether we want to acknowledge it or not, whiteness, there are advantages to this forced membership called whiteness. When you read maintained for the benefit of white people, what's your first reaction?
I agree with it. Our society was built for the benefit of white people. It always has been. There's no sugarcoating. So I don't know why we're trying.
Yeah.
Because if you're sugarcoating it, then you're never going to make actually any impactful change.
I agree. I think it is time for white people to hold themselves accountable.
Why are we naming out white people?
The first time I looked at the covenant and read through the covenant, that was something that I had a very visceral reaction to, is that, because I myself never considered myself racist. That piece of it was definitely something that I had to work to understand. But as I thought about it more, as I educated myself more on what was going on, and as you think about the history of this country, it was set up and established by old white guys. Everything that was put in place from the founding of this country has been for the benefit of white males, and to a much lesser extent, white females. Even when we went through the Civil War, slaves were afforded their freedoms under the government. There were then other laws and restrictions that were put into place, really limit those freedoms, so that even today, marginalized people don't have the same levels of freedoms and ability to do things that I do, especially as a white male. What I'll call unintentional racism, which is I didn't necessarily go out and actively seek all of these benefits that I received as a white male. And for a good portion of my life, I wasn't even aware that those benefits were really out there, or that I was benefiting from them. But as I think back on different situations in my life, as I think back on look at the news stories and just think, somebody pulled over for expired tabs and it ended up in their death, because they were Black. If I had been pulled over for expired tabs, I don't fear for my life when I get pulled over by the cop. I don't understand what that feels like. And that is a benefit that I have by being a white male in society. Unintentional racism. I don't seek that out. I don't intend for that to happen. But just being aware that that is the case really is eye-opening, and that to me is why calling that out in the covenant is so important, because it is naming what the problem is, and it's not calling white people bad or evil. And so that they talked about that visceral reaction, and that's really, it's housed in that emotional defense mechanism to say, well, you can't blame me for that. I didn't have anything to do with that. Well, you didn't, but the system that you live in was set up to your benefit, whether you know it or not. And that's why it's so important to call that out. To me, it's more of an awareness, and it's just stating the fact that this country was founded on laws and beliefs that started out to benefit white males and has not dramatically changed since then. We put coverings. We've tried to be We've tried to pretend to be better, is what I will say. And I think we've made small strides, but not to the degree that we should.
Right.
I firmly believe that I had advantages in my life from the system because I am a white male, and that needs to change. Frankly, we need to remove the barriers. You know, a Black person or an Asian person, a woman, you know, any of the marginalized groups should have the same opportunities that I have as a white male, and the color of their skin, their sexual orientation, their heritage should not be an additional barrier that they have to overcome to take advantage of those opportunities. That's why this work is so important to me as well, is because, hey, we're all human. We all bleed red. We need to start behaving like that.
Right. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Racial reconciliation means healing the wounds that divide and separate us as children of God.